Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. Today, we're going to be tackling something, something that I think a lot of our listeners are going to relate to.
Yeah.
And that is how to help kids whose parents are going through a separation or a divorce. It can be.
Oh, yeah. That is a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the main goal here is just to give people some really practical advice that they can use to help support their children for this really major transition.
Absolutely.
And one thing I found super interesting was this idea that even really young kids can actually be involved in the process in ways that are, obviously developmentally appropriate.
Right.
But that was kind of surprising to me. So I wanted to dig into that a little bit with you.
Sure.
Like, how do you even start to think about involving a child in something like,
Yeah.
Creating a parenting plan?
Yeah, it might seem kind of counterintuitive at first, but involving kids in the process can be really beneficial for their emotional well-being.
Okay.
Yeah, because think about it from their perspective. They're going through this huge upheaval and, their whole world is being turned upside down.
Yeah.
So even giving them a small voice in shaping what their new normal looks like can actually help them feel a sense of control and predictability when so much else feels really uncertain.
I see what you mean. It's kind of like instead of just having this thing happen to them, they're actually getting to be a part of how it all unfolds. So it's less about them making all the big decisions and more about just having some agency within the structure that's being created for them. Right?
Exactly.
Okay. Now, I know this is obviously going to look different
Yeah.
depending on, how old the child is.
For sure.
So let's break it down a little bit. For younger kids, what are some ways that you can think about involving them in this process?
So with younger kids, it's best to focus on giving them choices about things that are really concrete, tangible things. So for example, you might let them decide which toys stay at each parent's house.
Okay.
Or, which books they want at both homes.
Yeah.
Things like that. It's about, making them feel heard and giving them a sense of ownership over their environment.
Right. So it's really about giving them a voice.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, what about older kids and teenagers? How does this change for them?
So older kids, they can have a little bit more input on things like schedules, holidays, activities.
Okay.
So, maybe they have a really strong preference about which weekends they spend where or how they want to divide their time during school breaks.
Yeah.
And giving them that space to express those preferences is really important because it validates their feelings and it helps them feel a little bit more in control of their lives during this time of, immense change.
Yeah, it's got to be so hard for them to feel like so much is out of their control. So giving them some say in that must be helpful.
Yeah, it helps reduce conflict too because they feel like their needs and their wants are actually being considered.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, though, parents are still the ones making those final decisions, right?
Oh, for sure. Like, it's about finding that balance. We're trying to empower kids, but we don't want to put, the weight of adult decisions on their shoulders.
Right.
We still have to be the grown-ups in the situation.
Definitely. Now, I know that another big part of all this is making sure that kids can continue to do the things that they love, like their hobbies and activities.
Absolutely. That's so important because those things provide a sense of normalcy and routine, which are really crucial during times of transition.
Yeah.
So, if you think about whatever your child's most cherished activity is, whether it's soccer practice, ballet class, art club, whatever it is, continuing those activities is going to be so beneficial for them.
Yeah. I imagine it is almost like a lifeline to their world before the separation.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now, I do want to touch on something that I think is really important here, and that is making sure that kids don't feel pressured to choose sides.
Oh, absolutely. Right?
That's a huge one.
Because they're not the mediators in this situation.
No, they shouldn't be dragged into adult disagreements.
So all of the conversations that you're having with them need to be positive, child-focused, and really centered on making sure that they're comfortable and they feel safe.
Exactly.
Okay.
And even after the parenting plan's in place, it's really important to have those regular check-ins with your child.
So like a temperature check.
Yeah.
To see how they're doing with the new arrangement.
Exactly. Those check-ins are a safe space for the child to share how they're feeling about, the new schedule, to voice any concerns they might have, or to maybe suggest some adjustments. And, ideally, those conversations should happen with both parents present.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
So it's not like...
Yeah, it avoids any sense of taking sides and then going to dad.
Exactly.
Maybe getting different answers or feeling like they have to,
And it keeps the focus on the child's experience.
Right. So instead of just saying, how was your week? You're saying something like, how are you feeling about the new schedule?
Exactly.
Or is there anything you'd like to adjust or talk about?
Okay. So much good stuff here. As we kind of wrap up, what would you say is the most important takeaway for our listeners today?
Involving kids in this process, it isn't about giving them control, but it is about giving them a voice.
Yeah.
And making sure that their needs and feelings are really at the heart of the parenting plan.
Absolutely.
It's about helping them navigate this challenging transition with a sense of agency and resilience. So we've talked about a lot today. You know the importance of involving kids in an age-appropriate way, keeping those conversations positive and child-focused, supporting their hobbies and interests, avoiding that pressure to choose sides, and having those regular check-ins to make sure that they're doing okay. But here's something I want you to think about. As you move forward, how can you tailor your communication style to your child's specific age and their developmental stage to really make sure that they feel heard, understood, and supported? That's all the time we have for this deep dive, but thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
See you later. Bye.